Now I would like to basically set the scene a bit for our discussion today. And this is the reason why we have invited our two colleagues, Claire Damilano, Senior Legal Manager at ECAS, and Marrit Westerweel, Citizens Advice Coordinator. As probably you already know, ECAS is managing a very important service on behalf of the European Commission called Europe Advice. We have a network of 60 legal experts in each and every member state covering all EU languages, and they provide legal advice to those citizens who exercise their rights of free movement or have a transnational component in the exercise of their rights where they are facing certain uncertainties or have encountered certain obstacles. So basically they can get in touch with our service, they can ask for legal advice. And only last year, this service provided legal advice to more than 20,000 European citizens. Normally, under Europe Advice, we can immediately see what are the problems encountered by EU mobile citizens across countries, issue-based, or at the EU level. So this is the reason why I thought it would be a very good idea if Claire can basically present some of the trends, last year trends, so that we can see a bit the big picture and be able after that, based on that, to zoom in and discuss each of those issues separately. So Claire, you have the screen, I would say, not really the floor, but the screen and the floor.
Just a second, I'm just going to share my presentation. A bit slow, sorry. So yes, thank you, Asia, for the presentation of the service. And I'm going to go directly to the main trends. So as Asia said, we are replying to 20,000 questions more or less per year. It goes from, I would say, a simple question of information to really requests of analysis of the EU law. We really provide a legal advice, and it can go from any kind of question. So it can go from the registration of a car in another country, residence rights, VAT, social security, or recognition of qualification. So as I said, last year, in 2021, of course, the COVID had really an enormous impact on the movement of citizens and, of course, in the kind of questions they asked. So the main topic in 2021 was social security. It was more than a quarter, so it's really, really a lot. Social security has always been an important topic for Europe Advice, but I must say last year the proportion was even more important. Then the second topic is residence rights. Then you can see entry procedure, taxes, and work. We replied to question to all the European citizens, but it was interesting. Last year, the first nationality was not an EU nationality, but the question came more from third country national who are family member of EU citizens, and usually their questions are related to entry rights and residence rights. Of course, it's also interesting to see that normally over the last years, the British nationality has always been the first one, and now, just after the Brexit, you can see that they are just in fourth position. And it's the same thing we can also see with the country concerned by the question sent from the citizen. So the first country now it's Germany, and then the question concerns Spain, Italy, France, Netherlands. And you can see that now United Kingdom is really, really a bit far compared to the other, while during years and years, United Kingdom was always been the first country of interest concerning the question that Europe Advice received. So if we go a bit deeper in the type of question we received, so as I said, social security was the main topic this year. Usually it concerns the difficulties in keeping a social security coverage when you move from a country to another, and also all the questions related to know which country is the competent one. And in this case, last year was also impacted by the COVID, and we got a lot of questions related to teleworking, and a lot of employees, but also employers ask us questions on the impact of the teleworking on the competent country concerning social security. Old age, also old age benefits, it's one of the most important issue for the citizens. It's mainly related, I would say, to Brexit. A lot of EU citizens living in UK or British citizens living in the EU wanted to know if the Brexit would have an impact on their benefits. And then, as I say, COVID. So over the whole year, we go through different steps. First, it was how to access to healthcare in the host country. Then it was how to access to vaccination. And if the vaccination you get in one country will be recognized in another one. And then we started to get a lot of questions concerning the European Digital COVID certificate. Then we got a lot of questions concerning residence. It's mainly about the condition of the right to stay for family members. I must say there were really restrictive practice by national authorities. They ask more and more paper, and this has been even more complicated due to the COVID crisis. And then we have all the questions related to entry rights, and there really we could have seen that the COVID had an impact. How you can travel to a country, even just to move for holidays or to go to work in another country was really, really complicated last year. And we got also all the questions related to visa for the non-EU family members. I'm not going to go more in detail. I'm going to give the floor to my colleague Marrit, who is going to give you the trend of the first 3 months of this year.
Thank you, Claire. So I will cover some important topics for 2022, namely COVID-19, the war in Ukraine, and Brexit. Can you go to the next slide, Claire?
Yes.
Thank you. So for COVID, we are expecting that the number of inquiries we are receiving will go down because the restrictions in the member states are being loosened. We saw in 2020, we had 672 eligible inquiries. Last year, it were 386. And so far, this year in January and February, we received 21 inquiries. So last year, the main topics were entry procedures, residence, and social security. For this year, it's entry procedures, residence, and on the third place is now work. Of course, it's still the beginning of this year, so it can change. Another important topic is now the war in Ukraine. We have received so far around 40 questions, of which 2/3 was eligible. And the main questions that are being asked are about entry procedures. How can an Ukrainian enter without a passport into the EU? And also residence rights, how to apply for residence, how long can a person stay? We are receiving questions from Ukrainian citizens, but also from Russian citizens. Then we also received some ineligible inquiries. Mainly it are complaints about the sanctions that the EU has taken against Russia. And we also received some questions about how to adopt a Ukrainian child, which does not fall within the scope of Europe advice. Then a last topic I will cover is Brexit. We make a distinction between the EU citizens in the UK and UK nationals in the EU. So for January and February of this year, the main concerns of EU citizens living or working in the UK were the social security rights, pension and unemployment benefits, their entry rights and residence rights. And for UK nationals living or working within the EU, it were the residence rights on the first place, followed by entry rights and then social security. So this was very brief, some topics for 2022. If you want to submit a question yourself to Europe Advice, you can see the link here on the slide. And we are also happy to answer any questions you might have afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Claire and Marrit. As you see, dear colleagues, the moment when something happens in Europe, and not only Europe, but in the world, which impacts Europe, because of course we are a global economy and also society, we see immediately through the surveys. Unfortunately, the questions of Ukrainian and also Russian citizens, most of them are ineligible because the service covers EU citizens, but nevertheless, of course, we have informed the Commission about this type of questions, and now we are reporting on a daily basis on the nature of those questions, because through the service or in any additional way, apparently the concerns and also the questions of those citizens needs to be addressed, and I think that the Commission is doing that.